Just like if you're on the other end of it and you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, like I don't quite like know what to say or like how to handle it. Like drop the red face, tongue out, water dripping down the face emoji, just like something to be like, or just, wow, you turned me on. You look hot. The fire emoji, like avoid the thumbs up and the nice.
Nice. I'm like, it's instead of, okay, Leanne, we should come up with a list, honestly.
We should.
Instead of like, we should write a list of what not to say. We don't say nice.
Yes.
We don't say cool. No one say cool. Like no thumbs up emojis or whatever. Like
no, things, this one.
Yeah, no, that
like
one.
Yeah,
none of that. Like let's just more descriptive, like 2-word minimum, maybe. Honestly, so nice ass. Honestly.
Even just fuck. Like the word
even
fuck. That is a huge turn on for me.
Just that.
Just that.
Yes. Like something, maybe we should make a list. Like, here's the words not to say. And here's a list of just like, listen, if you're in a work meeting and you need to copy and paste, here's a list. And that's what you put on it. Done.
Sexting 101.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can I like not really push back, but I have an interesting thing here would be, okay, so what if
you always have to be the devil's advocate
a little bit, but like,
it's
okay,
like, but what if I like the word nice?
Yeah. So, but okay, so let's say a guy like thinks that there's something sexy about him, right? Like, let's say a guy sends you like a dick pic or something, and he's like,
consensually, okay.
Yes. Like, or no, you're just dating, right? You're in an established relationship, right? And
I like dick pics. I'm going to be the 1% of females now that I'm like, send me that dick pic.
Okay, I'm opposite. I can't do it.
But right? only for like dating or
like it has to be consensual.
So okay, so the guy who dated Sarah when they were both younger, who is now dating you, is like, oh, like he was like, like, let's say like, oh, I was thinking about you while I was like masturbating the other night, and I was like getting myself off.
Yep.
And I took this picture and my dick looks fucking great. And like, and it just shows up in your inbox, right? But it's not sexy to you. So now, do you have an obligation to be like, hey,
well, I think
your dick is really, like, do you have an obligation to be like, oh, fuck, that's hot, like, blah, 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 if it's actually not, if it doesn't actually turn you on.
But like, it probably would be turned on though, just because of the rhetoric before it. Like if he's saying like, he was thinking about me, he masturbated to me, his cock got really hard and wants to show me a picture. Like, sure, yeah, dick pics aren't my favorite. And I would hope like as my partner, like he would know that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that would be hot to me. Now, okay, if I get sent a pic, out of the blue and there's no words
by the man that you're with,
I would probably call him
and be like, did you
and
mean
be
to do
like
this?
what I don't understand what's going on.
Did you send this to the wrong person?
Yeah. Am I looking for a rash? What's happening? Like,
do you want to have sex? Like, is that what you're saying? Like, I don't know. I see what you're saying. So I think it's just, I think it's a little different for women, but like, can you explain are you trying to say that you have received pictures from women of them feeling sexy and you don't think they're sexy, and so you feel forced to say something to appease them?
I think that there's, I think that there's a level of like courteousness, right?
I know.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I know where you're going with this. It's like if someone is going out on a limb, pun intended, to send you a dick pic and with some words and stuff in it, then it does warrant a response. Like, that's like, I mean, any intimate photo does kind of warrant a response if it's from someone like whether or not it's like, hey, did you mean to send this to me? Or if it's the partner that you're with, it definitely warrants a response. But like, if it's not something that you necessarily find attractive, that Jared, like your, syntax or sentence for that was like, hey, I was thinking about you and thinking about last night, and it just got me like hard, and I thought my dick looked good, so I'm sending this to you. There's so much that you can unpack with that. Even if you don't like a dick pic, you can be like, thank you so much for thinking of me. That makes like me really hot. And I am so like, I'm so into like how you're into like your, you know, this and yourself. Like that is a way to like champion it. Like, even if you don't like dick pics, you're just like, I'm thankful that he gets hard when he thinks of me. Like, let's go. I'm thankful that he does this. Like, there's a way to respond to that that's like, not like, oh yes, I love like, you know, a dick pic that's on my phone in a work meeting or something, even though I kind of do. But like, you know, it's not like, but if someone doesn't, you know, then there is a way to, you know, champion that, especially with your partner, and just be like, thank you so much. Like, you know, I'll have to look at this later. Like, I'm doing this right now. Or like, I love that you get this way when you think of me, because that should also be kind of true. I think, feel like with your partner, it's like you want them to get, you know, excited or aroused, or like let you know when they're thinking of you. And also you want to like, I don't know, champion that so that later on they're not afraid of like sharing like when they're like hot with you too. That can like open up the conversation for later on for other things that like may not be as like, you know, open and graphic, but maybe they're just like, you know, you're lying at a Applebee's in Times Square or something like that, and you're like, hey, you look hot. So I don't know why I went with Applebee's in Times Square.
I think there is an Applebee's in Times Square,
you know,
actually,
but
yeah.
I'm trying to think of the least sexy place I could think of, and that's Applebee's in Times Square. But then he could be like, you look so hot right now, which, like, you know, you want them to come out of their shells in those moments where, you know, it's not an environment necessarily conducive for sensuality, but it's on, you know, they're connecting with you still. So I would say, like, you know, Jared, I'm like, I welcome it, but like if it's not super sexy, like Leanna, like, or Leanna, like you're just like, you know, I love that, like, thank you so much for this, for like getting turned on by me. Like that's what you ultimately want. Is your ultimate goal is that.
Yes. No, I agree. I mean, and I think when two people are trying to build intimacy, right, it's a vulnerable thing to do, to be like, hey, I made this effort in part to turn you on. And then, and I think the other partner needs to be like recognize that and appreciate that. You know, it'd be like if you're dating a guy, right, and he's like, oh, I have something super sexy for you, and then he comes out of the bathroom like dressed as like Batman or something, and you're like, this is not, you're off target, but I love the effort. And like, and like, tell me why you think this is sexy, and like, let's have fun with it. Should I be like, you someone that you're saving, or you know what, like you have fun with it, but you also kind of have to have that level of communication too, right? Like, so that he doesn't keep putting on the Batman outfit. You're like, hey, you like,
appreciate the effort, but maybe not Batman. I'm more of a Robin girl, like, or something like that.
But I think ultimately, you know, to just kind of close this topic, like ultimately it goes back to what you were saying, Sarah, about like, even if you have a partner or you're started dating someone or a spouse or whatever who doesn't respond the way that you want, well, one, communicate that, have a conversation, be like, hey, listen, like it really turns me on to send you photos of myself, and I want to know if it turns you on. You know, is there a better time of day? Like if you don't like getting them at work, like when would be a good time? I really like this, you know, like have a conversation about it, but ultimately like be secure enough.
I'm taking notes, by the way. I'm like, okay, have a conversation with Frank about
but ultimately, like, own your sexuality and be confident in yourself, secure in yourself, that the response of your partner ultimately doesn't weigh on your self-worth.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where it all goes back to.
Well, and I think that goes back to one of the first things Sarah said, which I think is so important, is like, if you're going to take a step like this, do it like maybe totally or mostly, or at least in large part for you.
Yeah.
Not for,
absolutely.
You know, not like, oh, I'm going to feel good when my partner's mind is blown.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, do it to just feel good yourself. Right. Yeah.
And that's basic human psychology is like anything we do for people, for us, if it's not completely altruistic, like anything we do for someone else for our own gratification, we're going to be disappointed with, because they're not going to respond in the way that our expectations or our own internal selves and souls would respond. And so that's just a general rule of thumb in general, obviously makes
Sure.
sense. Like, yeah, sure. How many times can I say general? So it's like, you know, it's just, if it's not completely altruistic, where you're like, I'm not expecting anything out of this, I'm just giving this to you, that's the only time where you can't be disappointed in something. So if you're doing it for someone because you want something out of that person, you're pretty much always going to be disappointed. And that's why it's so important to make sure that our intentions are in line, you know, with our purpose, as far as like, especially with sensuality and what we want in the bedroom and communication. Like, okay, like, let's be honest with each other, and, you know, let's make sure we're taken care of. And, you know, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think also, like, if you are wanting to do something like that, in part to turn your partner on, like, subtly in advance, like, ask them some questions, right? Or like, just be like, oh, like, look, I'm on this like person's Instagram, and like, look at these kind of like pinup style photos that they've done. Like, what do you think is hot? Like, you know, and like kind of get a sense of that from them, right?
Yeah, that's actually something that happens all the time. It's so fun. I love asking people how they talk with their partners about photos, especially if I know that they're doing it for like an occasion with their partner, like birthdays or anniversary, wedding, whatever. So I'm like, oh, how do you, like, you know, discuss what they like? And they say something like that. They're like, oh, well, I found your Instagram, or I found some photos on the internet, and I told my partner, oh, I really like this. Like, what do you think? Do you think this is hot? I think this is super sexy. Or, hey, oh my gosh, look at this new, like, whatever, insert celebrity here, photo. Isn't that so sexy? And getting their response, and opening that discussion for like how you guys can talk with each other.
Yes, definitely. Well, Sarah, I wanted to kind of ask you really quick, and then maybe we can end with this. Do you have any tools, like, if, you know, people aren't doing a professional boudoir shoot, where you can kind of like guide them along? What are like some tools and tips for women and men taking sexy photos at home, like with them, for themselves or for their partners?
Oh my gosh. So I love this question, because throughout the first, you know, 9 months of quarantine, like, you know, first gestation phase of quarantine, amongst us boudoir photographers, we were doing a lot of like virtual shoots, where we would do a webcam similar to kind of what we're doing now of the client. So we would set up a, you know, a cam, and then the client, we would just, you know, tell them how to pose, what to do, and we'd take screenshots of it and then send it to them. Like, it was this way of like adapting to what was happening. It's wild. So we learned a lot. So my number one thing is, I've got this like little light off Amazon that is this like little LED wand that changes all these colors, creates like different filters. It's like, get one of those. And then my tip, honestly, is to set up your phone or your computer, something with a camera on it, where you can see yourself, so that you can see how yourself looks in the light. Back in the past, like, we didn't really have that technology. Like, we had DSLRs, we had film cameras, but you couldn't really see what you looked like on, you know, in the light and in the posing. But now phones will do the mirrored view, webcams, you can see yourself. So set it up, you know, figure out how you look in the light, see what settings you like, and then remember that, or set that. And then as far as like shots go, honestly, you really do have to, you know, kind of study poses that you like online and try to emulate them. And it's a trial and error thing. I always say, like, honestly, darker the better. Some Polaroids are really great too.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Say It's my number one go-to pose for anyone that's taking photos of themselves is just like on all fours. And that's the easiest one to do because it's the easiest one to get right. And then once you nail that one, you're set. So it's like on all fours, like hands down, ass up. And then whatever leg is like closest to the camera, that's the one that like should be bent a little bit because it'll put all of your weight onto one side. So if you're on all fours on the bed and you bend, say the camera's to your right, you bend your right knee. That's how you get the popped butt and arch your back the whole time.
You mean like, but what do you mean by bend your right knee? Like the heel coming up towards the glute?
Yeah, heel coming up like towards your butt.
Are you laughing at because I said glute?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
Your glute, I'm like, I have not worked out.
Your ass, heel coming up towards your ass.
I feel like that's a butt. Yeah. So if you're on all fours, you arch your back so that your butt is up in the air. If your knees and heels are together, then you bend your right knee to where like your foot raises up toward your butt and still keep it in an arch. And that's if the camera's to your right. If the camera's to your left, do the same thing just with your left leg. To, like,
interesting. Okay.
And then that really like arches. I would say put your head all the way down because then you get to see the light all the way on the back of your neck, all the way down to your butt and to your crack and to your feet and everything too. Ooh. And it gets to cover your face. It makes it pretty anonymous too. Another great.
I'm doing that pose as soon as we're done.
Yeah, try it out, guys. And I would say make sure the light is behind you or to the side of you, like, and not in front, like where the camera is, because it'll create a shadow across your body instead of a full spotlight, like you're getting arrested by the police on your body.
Okay.
You don't want that.
Sure.
And then the other one is like in the shower too. Like if you're in a shower or in a bathroom at all, like if you're a female, you can definitely do it to where like you're whole, like kind of strategically placing like a towel across your legs or a hand across your boobs and do a little selfie in the mirror. And then if you bend your hips backward, anything that's furthest from the camera is going to be in the shadow or slimmer, which is great for both of us because shadow is good because it conceals like any bits we can't put on Instagram or don't want. So yeah, you stand in front of the mirror, hands on your boobs, like put your hips backward. There will be a shadow and you can take a little selfie. You can cover your face if you want. If you're a guy, the same thing works, but kind of put your hands on your genitals a little bit and then like bend your hips backward just a tad to where you can see your hand, but not anything else. And then take a selfie. You can put it in front of your face too. And that gives some shadow. People get to see like what's down there, but they can't see it. So.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how cool of you to like talk us through that. And I hope like it inspires. Yeah. I hope it inspires our listeners to like pause this episode right now.
Like write notes, do it.
Yeah.
I know, so seriously.
Yeah.
Do you want them to send them to us?
Please send us all of your naked photo tries, please.
Maybe the women for sure. The men can send them to you.
Yeah, there you go.
Guys, if you want me to give you like an objective opinion on whether or not to send this to someone you're interested in fucking, that is a service I'm willing to perform. That is a sacrifice I'll make for our listeners.
Just in case. I will say, my last like photo hack, if you're doing selfies, is a door frame in front of a mirror. So like, again, like most likely a bathroom. So stand like kind of in the door frame, like pose, like you're peeking into the bathroom, but it kind of cuts your body just a little bit, like on the side boob and just your hip. And you can just, take a photo in the mirror of just the side of your body if you're peeking in through the door frame. So I love that one too. So
and I'm sure like there's like if you go to your website or even your Instagram, there's probably what you're describing. Are there some of those on there?
I try to shoot a little bit voyeuristically, and so a lot of my shots are as if someone took them themselves or as if like someone was peeking in through them. So it gives a hint for sure. Yeah. But yeah.
Love this. Well, Sarah, you've been amazing.
This was fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you joined us. tell us. Well, first of all, I feel like I should do a shoot with you.
I'm going to be everywhere. So I will be in LA and San Francisco in October of next year. So
stop it. Wait, of next year as in 2022?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So then I should book with you.
Yeah. So we'll be there.
Yeah.
And
Me
we're
too.
going.
Yeah. Are you going to book with her too?
Yeah, you too. Actually,
should we do, should we do a hello and goodbye boudoir shoot?
Yes. I
mean, if either of us is partnered at that point, we would need to be separate.
I might be biased, but I would say yes.
I mean, actually, it would be cool if we're not like
if we're not like in a
if
couple.
we're just both like we're both in the shot looking sexy as fuck.
Maybe we should
like
have
that's
a
cool.
hello and goodbye OnlyFans.
People would pay for that, honestly. Like, hey, let's see if these two friends, like, are they or aren't they? And then they can just be like, that could be your whole spiel. It's
are we
like,
friends? Are we
yes,
not?
Is something gonna happen?
I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Sarah, sorry, I think I cut you off. What were you saying?
Oh, I just said you should do the OnlyFans.
Oh. Okay, so tell us. So you're going to be touring around.
Yeah, I'm touring next year, all around the U.S. It's been like since 2016 since we did this, and 2016 we're only in like 4 or 5 cities, and in 2022 we're going to be in about 10 or 15. So there's a lot, and we'll still be in Atlanta as well, but Atlanta, everyone's a transplant, and so everyone has friends everywhere else. So we just got so many requests, so we're headed out on tour for 2022.
So how do people book with you? Through your website?
Yeah, so we have our website is OWN Boudoir BOUDOIR.com, and we have a contact page there that you can book straight through. Our Instagram, which is Instagram, it's like at OWN Boudoir, same thing. You can also book straight through there. And we release our tour date bookings in November of this year. So November 27th is when you can book tour stuff. If you want to book in Atlanta, you can book it right now. So,
awesome.
Or if you just want us all to yourself next year and you're in a different city, you can also book us too.
So put an alert on your calendar on November 27th.
Yes, but a little like November 27th, it's Black Friday, and that's when everything's getting revealed, and you can actually book it. So it'll be fun. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, this was super fun. So
we'll talk soon.
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.